good ziyaret. Actually, no, it's good and June. Washington Moy, Aniana Jugger Ruben Diaz. Good evening. My name is Ruben Diaz, and I am the proud superintendent for Baboquivari Unified School District. And the purpose of today's meeting and forum is to be able to address some of the concerns our community is facing, some of the challenges our community is facing, as well as some of the next steps. I want to thank for everyone that is going to be watching us virtually, as well for our friends that are in person. I also want to thank the support for all of the parents that have taken the time and energy to reach out either via email, telephone, and also to address some options and how we can address the challenges that we're facing for our transportation department. I also want to acknowledge and highly appreciate all of the families that have looked at the video update that we posted. 348 families have clicked on the video and on Facebook, and 248 on TikTok. So I highly appreciate your support in staying up to date with the information that we're providing you all. And for transportation, I want to give you an update more or less of what's going on. We have a large fleet of buses and equipment. Unfortunately, based on the equipment that I have inherited as a superintendent, part of the equipment, based on the preliminary review of the equipment, 7 of the buses were in great condition, 6 of them were in good conditions, 10 of them needed repair, and 4 they're out of commission or ready to be auctioned out. And part of this equipment, as a result of this review of equipment, we have put together a committee to start as early as February to see what options we have for this school year. I want to thank and acknowledge the members of the committee, the committee that have supported us along the way, including board members, directors, administrators, and members of the transportation department. And as early as June 19th, the committee felt very comfortable with the information that we have before us to be able to move forward and provide solutions for the district. What we're looking for is to be able to provide more drivers, look and compare, are we within a competitive wages, and looking at how what additional trainings our department can benefit from. How we can increase the efforts of recruiting and retaining mechanics, upgrade our systems for transportation, including communication, and also based on the options, what it would look like if we were to partner with one transportation company. One of the ones that is interested in partnering with us is Beeline. And also what it will take to buy additional buses and rent additional equipment. So based on all of this information before us, we have not only every single month looking at all of the possibilities to determine what are we going to do. Once again, the information and the options that we have, we keep it in mind, number one, that we want to keep our bus drivers, we want to keep our team. Number two, we want to continue to grow our own as much as possible. And we want to keep in mind if our employees want to continue working under us, even if we partner with other transportation companies, what that would look like. So please, I want to acknowledge and thank at this point my transportation department. Even though we have a large fleet, not a lot of equipment has been ready to be deployed. And we are doing a lot with what we have. One of the greatest challenges, and at this time I also want to invite the community, we have the potential to have 14 bus drivers, and we manage it with 8 bus drivers. That in an effort to comply with the needs of transportation, we having our bus drivers to come in and pick up the kids that live in cells. And those students that live in cells, they go and distribute them, and then they come back and they get the rest of the students, and we're having to transfer them in some of the schools to be able to manage with 8 drivers. Having said that, I'm inviting the community. We are in a search for bus drivers and bus aides. So if you know anyone that would like to partner with us and be part of our team, please come and talk to us. Please join us. That way we can provide that support. By having additional drivers, what does that do to us? It allows to have not only more additional routes, but also decreasing the amount of time our students are on the bus. Some of our students spend 2 hours, some of them a little bit more than that, based on the shortage of bus drivers we have. But yes, it is two goals that we're trying to accomplish by looking at our options. Number one, it's been a good meeting with transportation. We're looking at what would it look like if we were to partner with another transportation company. It's known as Beeline, and it will allow us to expand our net on bus drivers. Even though we've been posting for bus drivers for not only months but a couple of years, we have not been successful in bringing more bus drivers. But by partnering with a transportation company, they will not only allow us to borrow or rent some bus drivers, they will also provide the additional mechanics that we need to maintain the equipment. They will also be able to provide not only training but a manager that will be able to bring the transportation department to a whole more updated level. Our bus drivers, once again, they do the best they can, and I believe that our drivers, based on the equipment that they also have, they have been over backwards to set a community. To be able to update the community, we have the opportunity to send a letter, a video. We have done some global calls, and this is part of rolling out with the community, rolling out the information with the community to inform them what have we been doing, but also to listen to additional options that you may bring to the table. Our goal is that on August 8th, we can bring to the governing board the recommendation of the committee. And part of the recommendation is to support us in partnering with transportation department so that we can have not only additional drivers, the additional mechanics, but also the additional buses that we need. To be able to increase the fleet, we do not have the funding to replace a whole fleet of equipment or buses all at once, but it is our commitment that we will look and continue to invest in buses, at least 2 this year, and depending on the budget, continue to replace the old buses with newer buses every single year. We're looking at the possibility of also selling the old equipment that will help us subsidize and pay for new buses. The goal, and this one is gonna, even though I like everything to go fast and to be taken or to be addressed in an expedited manner, I have to work as fast as the vendors out there. It's not as easy to buy a car as it is to buy a bus. To buy a bus, it takes about a year to get them, order it, equip it, and bring it back. We're looking at some aggressive timelines that we want to fulfill, but working with some partners and having to not only have 2 new buses on our fleet as early as September, but also to be able to rent some additional air-conditioned buses as early as August 7th, the week of August 7th. Part of the communication I was sent out, and I wanted to spend some time, it's like I mentioned, I want to make sure that BUSD increases the bus drivers. So far, we have interviewed for 1 more bus driver, and we're hoping to complete that process before the board meeting. And second one, we're hoping to also, if the governing board okays it, partner with Beeline. But even if we don't go that route, Beeline still wants to do business with us and is willing to support the shortage of bus drivers that we have by allowing us to have 2 additional bus drivers. That will be a total of 3 additional routes that will be able to open as early as August 7th. Like as I mentioned earlier, we are committed in buying 2 additional buses, and we're also going to be able to rent up to 2 buses, possibly 4, depending on the availability of buses. Our goal is that those additional 4 buses will be air conditioned. Again, it's the Beeline renting them will be as early as August 7th, and having the BUSD purchase will be as early as September. Having to partner with an outside agency, transportation agency, our goal is we will have two full-time mechanics. One is for gas, a gas mechanic, and the other one is a diesel mechanic. That will allow us not only to have the equipment, but to maintain the equipment and continue to repair anything that's coming up so students and staff driving those buses are safe. We're looking at the possibility of increasing also routes. As I mentioned earlier, right now we are experiencing longer routes than usual and overcrowded buses more than usual due to the shortage of bus drivers that we have. We still want to comply with the need of our nation, which is we need to transport students so they can have access to education and curriculum. But the ability to have an additional buses and additional bus drivers, that will allow us to strategically create routes, not only to distribute within sales, but also external routes. And our number one goal is to reduce the number of times students are on the bus. Some of our students, that may not be the case, because just if we were to have a car just for some of our students, they're still on the bus for at least 1 hour one way each day. So our goal is to expedite their route to make it as close to 2 hours by adding those routes. The ability to partner with also transportation company, our goal is to increase the number of buses available for after-school activities, including games, and also a bus for fans whenever we have some events. And more exciting is we want to ensure that our bus drivers and our transportation staff, they are exposed to some of the best training and continue to increase the customer service, the latest technology in transportation, the best driving technology in transportation, but any other training that one of the great or big agencies, transportation agencies, can provide. I also have present two members of the committee. I have Mr. Dan and President Buendia. With your support, I would like to also share or bring President Buendia to the podium to share what the purpose of the committee and what has been happening during the committee to address this issue. If you don't mind, President Buendia, join me.
Thank you, sir. Stu Kludnik, Juan Buendia here. Part of the governing board's responsibility especially is to try and support these types of efforts. A number of the conversations we've had specifically has been to make sure that not only our employees, but the community understands that this is the effort that we're trying to put forth in order to really try and meet the need where it absolutely can be met. At the same time, have to balance budgets and look at all of those things that are very important on the other side of how we meet our responsibility fiscally, especially, but ultimately where those types of emergency response types of needs are appropriate. I don't think anyone anticipated that we would have the type of heat wave that we have right now. I know that it is always hot during the summer, and it is always where I feel like we tend to understand that there is a need, and then for whatever reason, and I'm guilty of it as well, we look past it a little bit. You know, we'll get over it, it'll be fine. And I don't want to ever discredit that a family member or a child or the responsibility that we all have here to our students is never without thinking about all of those things all the time. The committee especially wanted to make sure, in the experience that I have been on in the meetings, is that we're protecting our employees. Many of them are community members. Many of them know us and know the families and know the students to the degree that, you know, we don't ever want that to be threatened in any way. There are a lot of different intricacies I think that the board and the committee need to be mindful of. I'm really glad that the committee has been kind of really taking a standpoint in that sense, so that the board really doesn't have to rehash those types of things. We haven't done it in this way before, and I think this is the way that it should have been done. Part of the conversation we had with the transportation this morning, which is very pointedly, they asked, you know, what are we doing wrong, or why are you bringing in someone Are we not doing it right? Absolutely not. That is never what we thought. You know, they have done what they've had to do every single year because we've never had enough bus drivers and we have always had bus issues. And they've always managed to make ends meet and to get the students where they needed to be. We know what happens during the monsoon season. We know what happens during the summertime. They know explicitly what to do, how to do it. What I told them is, we failed you. We are responsible for making sure that you have the most up-to-date equipment, you have all of the necessary needs for every single moment that you have. So this is not a question of us trying to replace transportation. It is holding, I think, ourselves to our responsibility to make sure that the best equipment is there, that we're not providing subpar service, and that you all have the opportunity to be able to voice those things, especially when it comes up. But ultimately, the superintendent and everyone else involved has been really pointed to make sure that we're not introducing something that's going to not be beneficial to our students and to the district overall. So I just really want to make sure that that's kind of expressed, especially because I know that there's a lot of questions on why it takes so long or why we hadn't thought about it before. I think that when we look at the overall and how much and how well how they've managed to continue transportation to the degree that we haven't really had to have this kind of discussion. We knew it was on the horizon, and I think we started to move as quickly as possible, and then you know, issues always come up. So I'm grateful, and I think that overall, what the committee will present to the board will be something that will be supported, especially because those questions have been asked, those concerns have been really drilled down to. We don't want to invite individuals in who are not going to understand that this is a community of individuals who all know each other, who have family members we want them to have all the special care that we have from the drivers that we have who know who's getting off where and what they're doing, that someone coming in as a representative of this transportation company, Beeline, understands that, and that they're given the right type of training to understand that, you know, the first person the child sees is the bus driver, the last person the child sees is the bus driver. We want you to have that same comfortability with them or with anyone who comes into the district. So that has also been really drilled down to ensure that we're not introducing something that's going to be harmful or everything is scary when it's new, but I'm hopeful that we're building enough of an understanding with the individuals who need to be able to work with them, that they won't feel that way. And that starts with the drivers, it starts with the community, it starts with, you know, everyone else that's gonna be involved. So I'm grateful, and that's all I have so far. I don't know if Cassiano wants to say anything.
At the same time, I want to thank the parents, because I understand the struggles that our students have gone through this week. It's been extremely hard, and you have made your statements very clear, and I appreciate you reaching out directly, either once again via call, via message, or even on messages on social media. I'm here to support you. I want to highlight and reiterate how important this issue is, and this is one of my number one priorities as a superintendent. I want to make sure that I address it as fast as all my other partners are working with me. Some of it was expected to be completed in a long timeline. But right now, as part of the committee, our expectation is whoever we partner with, that they will be able to then, in an expedite manner, support the needs that we have in the community. This week, anticipating also the heat wave, every bus driver was instructed to load the buses with extra water for our students, to be able to somehow support our students during the ride. We have enough water for the entire week. If we need to extend the water based on the heat wave, we will continue to do so. I'm also reaching out and shouting out to the community that I need help. I need help in recruiting additional bus drivers. Who better than to serve a community than our own community members? If you know anyone that is looking for a great opportunity, have them stop by the office. We'll be more than happy to support them, not only during the application process. If you don't have a bus driver, it doesn't matter. help us be part of that training. It's better if we also train you and we work with you. If you feel that you have the interest, but you don't have the license to be able to drive a bus, still come and see us. We'll let you know what opportunities are available and what training opportunities are available so that you can become part of our team. I want to reassure my community that I will make myself available if you need to come and talk to me via email, in person, telephone. Please do so. I want to be able to address your own individual questions. And if you believe between now and until we get the additional drivers and bus drivers, buses and bus drivers, if you feel that it will be best for your student, if your time and transportation allow it, I need support in helping me transport your students, especially if they have any medical needs, until I'm able to resolve this issue on your behalf. I do have some parents present. Are there any specific questions that you have or any suggestions? Please feel free to come forward.
Here, I can pass all the hand over.
I don't have specific questions. I do appreciate all the information that you've given so far. Like I explained to you in my conversation over the phone that I think the information is good now. I think it would have been a lot better had we had this information before school started. Because like I also explained, when it's coming from the kids and it's after the fact and then it's like, oh, well, we knew this or we knew that, and then it gets to, well, why weren't we told this? I think it would have been better received had this information been known from the beginning. But I do appreciate all the information that you've shared so far because it's really opened up the bigger picture. And I do understand that things are not gonna change overnight, but I also think that there needs to be a short-term solution because, it's hot now. These kids don't have, okay, well, let's wait till September. And, it's understandable the kids that live here in the village, they don't have far to travel. I think it's probably, 30 minutes and they're home from school, depending on which school they go to. But like you said, the kids in the villages, those are the kids that are on the buses for over 2 hours. And so I think those are the ones that are really affected by this situation. And not to discredit, the other kids or say that it's not the same for them, because I'm sure they all have the same experience. And in the winter, it's the same situation. I know that last year, our bus for down south, they were without a heater. So it just, it's like in the summer, it's too hot, there's no air conditioning, and then in the winter, it's too cold, there's no heater. But I think that all of these are a stepping stone, a beginning solution to, address all those issues. I don't know if job fairs are something that have been considered in searching for bus drivers. I think that would be a good, maybe something to do is for the outreach or even to partner with some of the nation's programs to see if they do have people that are interested in obtaining a CDL license or being a bus driver, and maybe that would kind of speed the process along in finding solutions to that. Those are just my suggestions.
Thank you, and I appreciate your comments and suggestions as well. I do have one of the district willing to step up for a short-term solution. As soon as I get more details, I'll be more than happy to disclose that information. But I am reaching out to some of the local districts, and they're willing to partner to provide some solutions as well. So once I have more solid plans and recommendations, I'll be more than happy to make those available. And also some of the adjustments that we made, we were ready to hire additional 4 drivers to help us as the Friday before school started. Unfortunately, the Monday before school started, that service was no longer a deal. The partner the transportation company that we wanted to do this with, unfortunately was not able to provide the bus drivers that day before school started. And in an effort to accommodate that challenge, we once again changed the schedule, the dismissal time, the day before school started to be able to accommodate the buses that we have and the bus drivers. We will continue to find short-term solutions, as many are there available, and as they come forward, please stay tuned. I will continue to send a video, robocall, and a letter to inform my parents what additional short-term solutions we were able to come up with. President.
Just to kind of add, because one of the things that we're finding as we're kind of diving more into it and the need that's available, I mean, the need especially now, is some of those doors of possibly even trading in buses that we have now, but in addition to that, in the support services that this company is going to be able to provide is really nailing down, okay, where do those absolutely need to be? Because obviously, within, as you mentioned, within the community here, there's probably a little bit less of a need to be very aggressive, whereas those really long routes to Kua'a or down south are going to be where we have to focus on. Those absolutely need to be addressed immediately as opposed to being. So I'm really grateful that, because I don't do transportation, none of us do. Ultimately though, this company is going to be able to provide that robust type of understanding of not only where to put those things, but how to really kind of focus that need to. And I'm not saying that we don't have that now, but the resources and the availability that they'll be able to provide is really kind of appealing when it came to how are we going to be able to meet this need, like you said, immediately as opposed to down the way, which I think absolutely will be presented in the form of, okay, well, here's going to be the plan and how we're going to do that. Incorporating though that knowledge from the drivers and from everyone else in the community to understand that. Same way we have some of our other services outsourced, so to speak, like food services. We do want them to be able to be understanding of the area, but also provide that robust type of service that we just really can get behind, and that really does provide what we need for the district. So I just want to thank you.
I also want to point out a special shout out to One Stop. We've been partnering with One Stop, and they've been able to work with us to not only to advertise the shortage that we have in transportation, but other positions. And they've been working on getting one more person certified. So we're waiting for the one person that is going through One Stop, so we can steal it and keep it as part of our Unified School District and become part of the team. I'll be also available. If there's any other agencies that I can work with, I will make myself available to reach out to them as well. And I believe, sir, you had another comment or question? No, oh.
For the committee, so from my understanding, the buses are out of commission or just the AC units?
Let me go back.
I guess the ones that are in immediate concern for what we're here for tonight, is that correct?
So right now, the buses that we have available, I believe only one has an air conditioner from all those buses. The other ones, we brought some mechanics, we outsourced and brought some mechanics, and they're waiting for some parts to be able to address the air conditioning in some of the buses. Based on those buses, once those get fixed, plus on the ones that we will be able to rent from Beeline, plus the ones that we're going to purchase, we will increase the number of units that we'll have available.
Unfortunately, the time frame that this has been addressed, probably in the last year or so, I don't know if the previous administration had considered some of these issues, or if it was more of what was kind of mentioned is what we'll kind of get to when we get to it, depending how the situation plays out. But also, it's also, right now is a time for community, families to assist the school district and not just put the blame entirely on the buses, because understandably that things happen. A bus could have a flat tire, or the engine could not be repaired. So this is a time, and this is a brief temporary fix for families, and maybe inconvenience to some because everybody has their own schedules in the morning and the afternoon. But this is temporary. We need to work together. Our kids enjoy sometimes riding the bus because they have their friends, they get to school earlier. Whereas maybe some students don't have that option to have a family member going into cells or wherever their workplace is at. So I do hope that the community understands that this is just a temporary issue that can be resolved if we all work together, and it's not just pointing the finger at the school district or transportation, because they've been doing their job. We've all been doing our job, and we've been sending our kids to school. Transportation's been doing their part. BUSD has been providing community services throughout the year. So I do hope that the community does understand that. Let's not raise issues or point fingers or talk about each other. We're a community, and that's where we need to focus on is short-term resolvement. That's it.
And I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Two important words that you mentioned is this is an issue that is temporary. Like I mentioned, this is going to be one or has been one of my priorities since I became a superintendent. Secondly, the best part is that it has a solution. So this is going to be one of the headaches that is going to be temporary that we'll be able to solve. And if we all focus on the solution, if we all focus on how to help each other, I'll be more than happy to continue to be a partner. And the last thing that I know, one of the options is, well, why can't we go virtually until the heat wave goes, and we can address that. Unfortunately, that is the last thing I want to do. It is one of the options for a couple of reasons. I believe that you already have your children for too long. And I want to be able to take your children away from you because now they belong to us. It's the school year has started. And our children, they have already struggled enough being virtually. Can we do it? Absolutely, we can do it. Is it the best thing for everybody? Temporarily, maybe, but it's not the number one solution. Because also many members of the community, they don't have the benefit of staying at home and keeping the kids at home. They also have to work. So I don't want to now use their personal leave or not getting paid if we go virtual. I want the students in school. My teachers want the students in school. My amazing transportation department, they're being bending over backwards to be able to bring the kids back and take them back to school. I do take responsibility now. I respect what other superintendents have done, where the priorities were, including having a great primary school, which is amazing, all of the upgrades. Anything that has happened, I need to respect what my predecessors made a priority. Now this is my problem and I need to address it. And I want to make sure that transportation, it is my priority to ensure that my kids come to school safe and we can send them back to you safe as well. That will be my commitment, and I will continue to keep everyone informed. I have members of my transportation department. Is there any messages that you want to share with the community?
I just want to say,
Here.
I just want to say, we are doing our best to keep your kids cool. It's a long ride, it's hot. The kids are, they're hot, but we are hot just as well, trying to transport them home. We give them water bottles. I have my aide going up and down, misting them, trying to keep them cool any way they can. Sometimes when the little ones, they run out of water, of course, it's really hot. And, I give my water up, I give it to them so that they're not hot or, get dehydrated. But, this is just some things that we are trying to work out as well. We're doing all we can, and, thanks to Ruben and, operations that had delivered all the water yesterday. We just got a whole bunch of pallets of water that we were giving. We're gonna start giving out tomorrow. But, just bear with us, we're trying our best, you know, that's all we can do is try.
Once again, I want to thank those that are here present. I want to again give a shout out to my transportation department. They are doing miracles, and I am committed to continue to work with them and my parents in the community to be able to address this need. Stay tuned. I will be providing additional updates. And if you have any relatives that is looking for a job and send them my way, I will be more than happy to walk them through the process. Are there any other last minute comments or questions? And if not, I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank everyone that is visiting, watching us virtually, and we'll stay tuned. Okay? Thank you. Everyone have a great evening, and let's have the best year ever. Thank you.